This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Good evening, I'm Evelyn Matthew. The mayor of the city came out with his numbers for the city today, the corporation budget. But an even critical number game in the state of Tamil Nadu is almost out. The main scriptwriters of this allocation, the Queen Bee and the Chanakya of Tamil Nadu's political scene. What will it be ahead of a very heated summer polls? Who will walk away the happiest? That is going to be a question even on the cricket pitches in the subcontinent this World Cup season. But will the second warm-up match give us a feeler? My colleagues Peer Muhammad, Lokpriya and Natasha join me on the show tonight. But we go across to each of them for their very special inputs in just a while. Before that, these are the headlines now. Karunanidhi displays his milk of human kindness with a moderate increase in the procurement prices of milk. Will it add to the consumer's burden? As the probe for the culprits of the 2G scam digs deeper, corporate behemoths, Reliance Communications and the Tatas are at each other's throats. The killer of little Aditya will be locked behind bars for a lifetime and lower court slaps her with a fine and the life term. The corporation budget has been announced and this time it is slum-centric. Mr. Mayor does not spell out any new taxes for the city.
For the slum dwellers, basically what we have announced is that we will have a mobile health van going and serving the slum area.
Amma takes out her calculator and her game has begun. She allots 3 seats to her allies already in the first round. The poll committee of the TNCC is in the capital to head talks on seat sharing with their state in charge ahead of May's polls. There is an Ndtv-Hindu impact seen in the corporation's allocation this year. New burial grounds for 2 minority communities will be allotted.
We thank the Ndtv-Hindu for highlighting our cemetery problem to the public.
In today's letter addressed to Pranav Babu from Chennai, the subject reads Petrol price wars, signed IT professional.
Petrol விலை ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தியா போயிட்டு இருக்கு. சோ ரொம்ப லோ லெவல்ல இருக்கறவங்கலாம் வந்துட்டு வண்டி ஓட்ட முடியல.
An MSD rules out physical fatigue to be a deterrent in the World Cup performance. Let's also bring you the rest of the day's news nationally and internationally. Good news for all PF holders. Employees Provident Fund Board recommends a hike of 1% on PF interest rate to 9.5%. Former Chief Justice Balakrishnan tells NDTV he didn't want his IT returns revealed under RTI as they could be misused. Pakistan's Interior Minister Rahman Malik speaks to his India counterpart and assures singer Rahat Khan's cooperation. BJP ups the ante and demands a JPCE on all corruption cases, but Advani targets the Prime Minister again. Mr. Manmohan Singh will face the media tomorrow amidst a series of charges against his government and a standoff with the opposition. And the Delhi police refuse to give the go-ahead for the Bryan Adams concert tonight. There are many disappointed fans. The Milk Producers Union in the state, who've been striking for a week, was heralded by some moderately good news from the Chief Minister today. 3 top ministers of the Tamil Nadu cabinet sat down with the union today after Karunanidhi's offer yesterday, following which the strike was even withdrawn today. In what has appeared as a consensus, the procurement price of buffalo's milk has been increased by 3 rupees and 50 paise, close to 4.5 rupees different from their suggested rates, while the rates for the same for the cow's milk has been hiked by 2 rupees and 50 paise, only 2.5 rupees lesser from their actual demand. Joining me live right now is our reporter Lokpriya, who's been tracking the story. She joins us live with her inputs. Lokpriya, although you may have been a fan of the good old black coffee or even the black tea, for others like me, is milk something that's really going to add to our already burdened purse?
Well, Evelyn, that's the big question that everybody is raising at this point of time. The strike that ended yesterday, the milk producers strike ended yesterday after Karnanidhi invited them for talks. And today after the talks, the Chief Minister has agreed to increase the procurement price, though not to the extent of what the milk producers actually wanted. But there has been a kind of a middle point where both of them have reached and agreed upon. Now, the big question is whether the price of the milk will increase or not. That's the big question that all of us are asking, because once the procurement price increases, automatically the selling price also tends to increase, and that's the reason why the government was a little hesitant to increase the procurement price in the past. But now that the procurement price has increased, will it actually be a burden to the consumers with the increase in milk prices? That will be the big question that we'll be tracking. But at present, the government has not announced any verdict on that. There's not been talks on that particular price of the milk. So as of now, the milk prices remain stable. They are at the rate which they are sold for, but it might increase or it might not even increase. It depends on how this whole thing pans out. So as far as the milk producers are concerned, their demands have been met and they are happy that the government has understood their plight, because they say that the prices of fodder is increasing and it's difficult for them to meet their demands, and that is why they had asked for increase in procurement price. And now the government has heeded to their request and has in fact increased the procurement price of cow's milk by 250 rupees and buffalo's milk by 3 rupees 50 paise. So that's the news coming in from the Secretariat. Evelyn?
Very much indeed, Lokpriya, for joining us with your inputs there on that story. Now, no new taxes scoring with school children by way of schemes, mobile health vans for slum dwellers, lots of welfare measures, more parks with even a yoga platform, and banning the use of plastic. The Chennai Corporation's budget presented today left many people smiling. Our reporter Lokpriya brought us the numbers laid down by the mayor for the year.
Corporation budget or welfare state? That's the one question one's tempted to ask. Where can you dream of a master health checkup costing 500 rupees? It will be done at your nearest corporation diagnostic center. A mobile health van for slum dwellers, restoration and maintenance of 1,357 interior roads, facilitation of easier payment of property tax. It seems the civic agency has thought of every section of the society.
நிதிநிலை அறிக்கை என்பது வரி விதிப்பில்லாத பழைய வரிகளில் மாற்றமில்லாத சிறந்த நிதிநிலை அறிக்கை என்பதோடு மூலதன பணிகளுக்காக கடந்த ஆண்டு ஒதுக்கப்பட்ட நிதியை காட்டிலும் 100 கோடி கூடுதலாய் நிதியினை மூலதன பணிகளுக்கு ஒதுக்கி இருக்கிற சிறப்பான நிதிநிலை அறிக்கையாகும்.
French as an optional subject in corporation schools. Voila! Many of the schemes are a study in prioritizing attendance and education. Replacing dupattas with smart overcoats, awarding the school toppers of class 10 examination with laptops, organizing management and administrative training programs for the headmasters of Chennai schools are some of the proposed changes in the wind. Let's bring you some of the key pointers of the budget. Foot-over bridges with lifts at 6 places, video conferencing at corporation zonal offices, 10 mechanical sweeper for cleaning narrow roads, ban on plastic at Chennai Corporation parks and tourist places, night shelters for the elderly at all zones, burial grounds for Christians and Muslims, grievance redressal cells for handling complaints from public, 14 parks on OSR lands, payment of property tax through banks, ATMs, electrical cremation for pets, outsourcing of freezer boxes. Chennai Corporation did not meet quite a few of the projects announced in last year's budget, but officials are confident they would be completed soon. Meanwhile, in a surprising HR move, staff's welfare seems to be high on its agenda.
We have been noticing that people work with a lot of stress in the corporation. So, to give them better facilities and to pay attention to their needs, some schemes have been announced.
The fifth and final budget of the present council, tabled by Mayor M. Subramaniam, has a slew of welfare measures outlined for the residents of Singara, Chennai. With assembly elections in just a few months, will this tax-free budget help in winning people's heart? That's the big question. In Chennai, Lokpriya, Ndtv-Hindu.
Well, moving to the big political news from the state ahead of the summer polls, the main opposition party in the state, the AIADMK, has allotted 2 seats already to its ally Pudhiya Thamizhagam and 1 seat to India Kudiyarasu Katchi. This is the first such announcement after the party held many rounds of talks with its allies on seat sharing. Meanwhile, a delegation of top Congress leaders from the Tamil Nadu Congress Committee, comprising the Home Minister, the Congress spokesperson, Union Minister G.K. Vasan, TNCC President Thangabalu and the Congress MLA Jayakumar have been in the capital today for talks. They are the team appointed for poll talks ahead of the summer elections to the Assembly. They have been meeting the AICC chief, Ms. Sonia Gandhi, and the Tamil Nadu in charge, Ghulam Nabi Azad. While a section believes that making power sharing a precondition may have a positive effect on the electorate, the team will be hoping to highlight the opinion of MLAs and district office bearers on the power sharing formula. The 34 MLAs from the Congress lent crucial support for the DMK, which has 99 members in the 234-member Tamil Nadu Assembly. The Congress, meanwhile, is seeking over 70 seats and a share in power in the DMK-DPA alliance. Our senior correspondent Peer Muhammad now joins us live from our studios. Peer, while Amma is on her mark with that first round of allotment, like we've seen, what about the Congress and the DMK? Are they close to making such progress in New Delhi today?
Yes, the Congress poll committee is meeting with the Congress High Command, particularly Ghulam Nabi Azad, who is Congress in charge of Tamil Nadu, to just convey the opinions they have collected over 2 days at Satyamurthy Bhavan. On Sunday and Monday, both days, this poll committee comprising union ministers and Congress spokesperson Jayanti Natarajan and legislator Jayakumar, they sought the opinions of Congress MLAs and MPs on the poll alliance for the upcoming assembly elections. They also met with the DMK chief and Chief Minister Karunanidhi on the same day, and they have also aired the opinion of the leaders, Congress leaders, also district level office bearers to the DMK chief, and the same opinion will be today conveyed to the Congress in charge of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad. Also, there is criticism that EVK's Ilangovan, one of the most vocal leaders of the Congress, was not included in the poll committee. That has affected the consultation process in Satyamurthy Bhavan. And G.K. Vasan, in fact, pacified the supporters of EVK Ilangovan, saying that even that opinion will be conveyed to Ghulam Nabi Azad today. And they are coming back to Satyamurthy Bhavan. The poll committee will be coming back on Wednesday, and they will be again holding consultations on what the High Command thinks about their opinions, and they will also initiate talks with the DMK leadership sometime later this week. That is the thing. And on the other side, AIDMK has held several rounds of consultations with several of its allies, mostly smaller allies like the Pudhiya Tamilagam, the Republican Party of India. Those two parties were allotted seats today after Dr. Krishnasamy and Seku Tamilarasan met with AIDMK Supremo Jayalalitha. They have allotted 2 seats for Pudhiya Tamilagam. Pudhiya Tamilagam is not that kind of a big party, but it does have a support among the Palla community, the Dalit community in southern Tamil Nadu. That will have an effect on the electorate. Also, the Seku Tamilarasan, another Dalit leader who is quite vociferous in the northern part of Tamil Nadu, he also got 1 seat. Both the Dalit parties were allotted seats in the first round of talks, and other party like D. Pondian, the CPA leader, had pointed out the alliance talks with the DMDK is already on. The ADMK leadership is talking to the DMDK leadership. He has disclosed this detail at Trichy at the CPA party meeting. Also, the fact that the decision will be announced before March 15th. That is the time when both the top parties, DMK and the ADMK, will finalize the alliance equations for the upcoming assembly elections. Yeah.
Right, thanks very much indeed, Pete, for joining us with your inputs. Clearly, while those talks are underway, the AIDMK is somehow leading that race in seat allotment. Well, still ahead on headlines now. The hands that saw the blood of little Aditya are handcuffed for life. Justice reaches the home of the tiny tot. That story coming to you in a bit.